mortgage fraud. I thought that we were done with this after all of the news that broke out in Brampton and in Vancouver a few years ago. But alas, we are not. There's a different type of mortgage fraud that has been going on in British Columbia for a while now, and it's finally starting to come to light. In fact, I'm pretty sure that this stuff is going on all over Canada, and it's not just isolated to BC. But the provincial regulator, the body that oversees every mortgage broker and realtor in British Columbia, has officially put the entire industry on notice. So this is no longer under the radar. And after this video, you'll know exactly what it is, how it works, and what to watch out for. Let's start with some background because you need this to understand what's changed, the old version versus what's happening now. The old version of mortgage fraud was pretty straightforward. A broker or a bank specialist would doctor your numbers, your income, bump up someone's income, tweak an employment letter, make a buyer qualify for more than they actually should. Half the time, the buyers didn't even know this was happening. They just thought, great, I qualify for more. And they didn't ask any further questions because they were getting what they wanted. And meanwhile, someone behind the scenes is falsifying these documents. And the ripple effect is real and it's significant. When you keep qualifying people for more than they can afford, prices go up and it becomes a direct contributor to an inflated market. But that's not what we're dealing with today. What's happening now is a little different, and honestly, in some ways, it's a lot worse. Here's what's actually going on. Certain brokers and realtors are structuring deals with massive cashback incentives buried inside the offer. Not the small cashback that a bank might offer you at signing to go with them to win your business. I'm talking tens of thousands of dollars, sometimes $70,000, $80,000, $90,000 written on a completely separate addendum that the lender never sees. It's hidden and only surfaces at closing. Now, here's how the play works step by step. Someone loans the buyer the down payment. The money sits in the buyer's bank account for 90 days, so it looks completely legitimate on paper. The rules for mortgage approvals require you to have the funds in your account for the down payment for 90 days. The bank considers that seasoned and in effect, the money is yours. The buyer would then qualify and the financing would get approved. The deal closes, and then on closing day or a day or two after, the seller quietly would hand back a massive cash credit, and it was never disclosed to the lender. So the buyer takes that cash and they pay back their original loan and they pocket the difference. What they've just done is complete a zero down purchase while the lender thinks that they have funded a clean, legitimate mortgage. And for this to work, almost everyone in the chain has to be playing along in some fashion, either directly involved or just not paying attention and perhaps being a little aloof. The buyer, the buyer's agent, sometimes the mortgage broker as well, and the seller. And in most cases, the lawyer who legally represents both the buyer and the lender at the same time. Now, if that lawyer fails to disclose a cash back that directly affects the lender's security, that is fraud, full stop. This isn't a rumor and it's not conjecture. This isn't something that a few people are whispering about. The BC Financial Service Authority, the BCFSA, is the provincial body responsible for regulating mortgage brokers and realtors across the province. Think of them as the watchdog for the entire industry here in the province of British Columbia. Every province has a version of this. They're just referred to as in a different term. Back to here in BC, they recently sent a province-wide notice to every single licensee in the province, formally acknowledging this is happening in our market. They know about it, they're watching, and they're putting the entire industry on notice. When the regulator makes a move like that, it means that this has been going on long enough and at enough of a scale that it can no longer be ignored. Here's where it gets personal, even if you're nowhere near one of these deals. Those inflated sale prices become comparables for when someone is looking to purchase in that neighborhood or a similar type of property nearby. Now, let's say that you're shopping in a townhouse complex where everything is realistically worth around $850,000. But then one unit sells for $950,000 because the buyer and seller inflated the price just to engineer a cashback at closing. You see that sale, your realtor sees that sale, and suddenly it looks like that the market is moving all of a sudden. Hey, we've got this comparable here. It's sold for $950. There's more activity. Prices are going up. This complex must be more desirable than we thought. But that sale, it wasn't real. The price wasn't real. The numbers weren't real. And now you're making one of the biggest financial decisions of your life based on fraudulent data. That can cost you tens of thousands of dollars and sometimes more, and you never even know that it happened. If you're a seller and you receive an offer with a massive unexplained cashback, not a repair credit, not an inspection adjustment, but an out of nowhere, give me $80,000 at closing, that is a serious red flag. And be very cautious about what you're signing and make sure that your lawyer sees everything. And I guess right now in the market, sellers are looking at this, and if it means a sale for them, it might be something that you might consider. I guess that must be what's happening right now, and why we're seeing more of this. And if you're a buyer, you need to be analyzing comparable sales properly, not just the highest sale in that neighborhood, not just the most recent one. You need to understand whether a sale actually makes sense in context. If one sale is $70,000 to $100,000 above everything else in the same building with no clear explanation, you should be asking why, and you should be digging further. Work with people that you trust. Ask questions, and if something feels off, it probably is. Mortgage fraud isn't just sketchy paperwork anymore. It's not somebody else's problem in somebody else's market. It has been happening here right in front of us in BC. And even if you see it happening in another market, you can rest assured that it will either soon directly or indirectly impact your market that you're in. And so awareness is huge. The more you're aware, the better protected that you'll be. I'm Aleem, and I hope you got some value from this video. We'll see you in the next one. Have a great week.